go ahead and start. Okay, everyone, if you could have take your seats, we're now going to begin. And before we begin our presentations, I wanted to share with the group a very innovative project that the downtown campus has been involved with since throughout this year. The project is called Collaborative Research in Action, and we have the founder of that program with us here today, Gabriel Higuera. Gabriel, could you stand? Yes. And I wanted to bring this to your attention because on April 30th at the University of Arizona, from 9 to 4, students will be presenting their research. And what excited me about this project is, you know, I talk about the pipelines that I am accustomed to in San Francisco, and this is an attempt to really start a pipeline. To have, the project has students from the University of Arizona, students from Pima Community College that are going into the K-12 schools and providing workshops on ethnic studies and on social justice to those students, really empowering those students to create their own pipelines up through the college and through the university. And I think this is a very innovative program that I would like to see expanding throughout the nation. So I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. So now we're going to do our breakout, and we're actually going to start with table 8 because Daisy needs to go present. And we're going to actually ask all of the even tables to present first so that we can focus on the even numbered tables question. And what you'll have is you'll have 5 minutes to present. We have our timekeeper who's going to keep us on time. And if you would present on both of the questions that you discussed at your table. Okay, so Daisy's group, do you want to come up here? Okay.
How about now? All right. So I'm Melody Lopez, part of Table 8, a fine table, a very good and... That's right. We had a lot to say about our question, what is your vision? We went all over the place, and I'm thinking, yes, okay, this is everything we have. In the beginning, we start with being inclusive. Someone at the table said the statement, I see people who are not represented here. So when they said inclusiveness, for example, we didn't happen to see, just by superficially looking around the room, people of Middle Eastern descent here represented as oh, I'm glad, see? Our biases didn't see you, apologies. So, just again, we're also way back there. So, we were just thinking there's other representations that may not be at the table, and in the same force as others. So we were looking at inclusiveness. We talked about the extreme importance of language, actually, and language acquisition and continuing different languages. We included that in ethnic literacy and having things that are written about from an ethnic studies point of view, being available to the public. We talked about an intergenerational setting. When we talked about who it was we wanted for ethnic studies, we even talked about training parents, as well as students and families and communities, so an intergenerational setting. We touched on mentoring over and over again in our vision of ethnic studies, because the idea of mentoring youth to understand the importance, I mean, just from some of the comments we heard around the room today, the importance of mentoring our youth to truly understand what everyone has to say is critically important. So this was said over and over again. We just wrote it down once. We talked about having not simply theoretical knowledge, but also practical implication and application. So the big thing I would was in NAU, they have applied indigenous studies. So they do things, they're out in the community. U of A is a research university. Research sometimes distances from communities. So I'm really, my vision, our vision, yikes, this one's me, so I'm saying me. But it's our vision too. is really an applied ethnic studies program when we're looking at a statewide ethnic studies program. Visibility and location, centrality on a campus. We do not want to see ethnic studies in the basement, and no condemned nasty buildings. So visibility on campus. So real. Cultural competency. And we mean competency in many ways. We mean among staff and faculty, because sometimes the information you provide your students in ethnic studies gets invalidated by other teachers from other programs. And so there needs to be a huge array of staff and faculty cultural competency, as well as we call it K-20. So kindergarten through graduate school, K-20 cultural competency trainings, parents. We talked about dual enrollment, AP and gifted programs. We talked about multicultural programs, professional development in all subject areas, which is funny because I think a lot of people say they do this. By the way, I'm not attached to any university in case you can't tell. A lot of universities say that, oh, we have ethnic studies throughout all of our disciplines. Well, we'd really, really like to see that be true because we haven't seen that in practice as much as we'd like to. We talked about expanding scholarship and publications in ethnic studies. I have to jump down here. My vision isn't great. We talked about access, borderlands, rural areas. We talked about being able to do things like on the internet connecting. Yes? For a minute? Boy, let me race down there. Okay. A network of ethnic studies professionals across ethnicities in Arizona. That should almost have been number one. We'd like you all to have support from each other because we don't feel that that existed at our table, and we did have a professor of ethnic studies at our table, so we kind of grilled him on that a lot, about how he can be supported to stay in the job. Supporting power in numbers, financial support, making these tenure track positions in institutions, making sure people are trained and educated, being very intentional in hiring, and being intentional in community partnerships. So let me see, legitimacy and credibility. We spent a long time, but I have to race. Now I feel really pressured in time. Career pathways are very, very important in ethnic studies. We talked about that we really want to reclaim Arizona's identity as far as what is ethnic studies. And then lastly, I'm going to say this because this is beautiful. This was not my words. We want ethnic studies to squash the soft bigotry of low expectations of our peoples.
Thank you, table number 8. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go quickly on this next one. We apologize.
Okay, going to take one more minute
yes,
for your second question.
1 minute to do the second question. We will just
focus
read.
Give a little more heads up on time.
All right, I'll be brief. Kathy Budway, Pima College Adult Basic Education for College and Career. I'm the Civics and Student Leadership Coordinator. So, thank you. Our rationale. This is hope for the next future, the next generation. And things are definitely not working as they are, so we've got to make a change. This helps to validate folks' identities and life experiences, and in addition to that, we need to celebrate the unsung heroes in history, and even of today. This will create a smoother transition from the 2-year to the 4-year, and also we want to reach into high school, possibly explore dual enrollment, but do a 2-year preparation for your 4-year. Yeah. 8. I'm sorry, I don't understand this one anymore. I did when we were talking, but that's the truth. Okay, but yeah, but again, there's so many gaps as you try to transfer your credits from one institution to another, and we need to identify those and address them. It also helps create for an extremely welcoming environment. We had a big discussion about course transferability, not just transferring credits, but them actually transferring to a degree completion. So let's iron that out. Let's align that statewide. Let's not have this be some bureaucratic hurdle. It can be done, as one member in our group said, if you can do it math to math to math, we can do it for ethnic studies as well. Let's just take the time and iron all those paperwork and curricular things out. Possibly retroactive transfer. So once these things do get ironed out, if someone has spent the last year or two doing what Jessica has spoken of, let's make those credits transfer. Let's get them in there. Let's not have that be time and money wasted. Let's explore financial incentives, discounted tuition, internships perhaps within the ethnic studies program that can branch out into many disciplines to, again, create a career pathway. Let's, again, raise that Arizona statewide profile, professional reputation. Let's continue to have ethnic studies forums and protection and preservation of our land. I'll let you read into that what you want. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, group number 8. Thank you. So next, I want to let our groups know so they can prepare. So our next group up is table 10, and I think table 10 is on their way up to put their stuff up. What we're going to do is we're going to do the even, so we'll go 10, then we'll go to 6, then to table 4, and then to table 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to clearly let you know when you used half of your time, okay? So table number 10 is coming up next.
Hi, this is table 10. And one of the things that we were looking at, we created a list of various ideas. Let me put that at the top. And the main thing that we felt was really needed were critical thinkers to participate in this democracy. Without that, there's not going to be any participation, which, if you ask me just personally, I think that's part of the agenda, but that's not. And that we need ethnic diversity in the U.S. is a reflection of our global diversity and how the rest of the world perceives us and our participation within it. We want it to encourage empathy, of course. We want to raise awareness, and we certainly want to raise graduation rates. So we said, creating an ATF for ethnic studies in Arizona will positively impact the political, social, academic climate within our state and encourage inclusion and diversity. One of the other things that we also discussed with some length was the amount of policy change that really needs to take place, and we recognize that that's very threatening and very fearful for some people. And that too needs to be addressed. That fear needs to be addressed. And to that, I think I'm just going to end it there. Our facilitator is not here right now, so I'm substituting. How's my time?
You're great on time. Fantastic on time. Thank you so much, table 10. Thank you. So now, next we will have table number 6.
So we have intergenerational. See, we represent. Okay. So this is going to be quick because a lot of what I'm sure you're seeing this. A lot of it is reiteration. What we see a lot of commonality in the tables and how we answered the questions. So the main thing for me, or what our table came up with, is in terms of our vision, a vision for ethnic studies that is anti-racist, that is a space for means through which we can advocate for social justice, it was spoken about earlier that this whole discussion is about a social justice and social equity issue in terms of curriculum and knowledge production. We are interested in a intersectional approach where we take into account the intersections of race, gender, sexuality, class, ability, and other vectors of power that impact people's social experiences and structural locations. We would like to have it, as it was spoken of before, intergenerational, that we want a way for ethnic studies to underpin the knowledge production from grade school through college, and having college teachers be trained in our universities so that they can go back to grade schools and train young people all the way down from elementary school. We have an elementary school teacher here as well. Did you want to add? Oh, one thing too, that ethnic studies should not be cordoned off or ghettoized, but it should be a part of every way, every kind of knowledge that we teach. So when you teach literature, when you teach science, when you teach biology, you should teach it from an ethnic studies perspective. And I think that was spoken to earlier. Okay, I think you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Muy buenas tardes, Dios. Mchania bokecha malaya ina pone Santiago Bentene. Imegoy bailutoria. Just sharing these 2-3 words. Going back to reiterating cultural competence, that, again, it should be, many people are going to go into either medicine or law or education or science or whatever have you. Maybe not everybody is going to go into medicine, but everybody should be culturally competent in whatever area you are going to go into. And then stressing, reiterating one of the other tables said about language. I'm just adding that now, that the power of language is a power to see the world and life in a different way, and that will empower you as well. And then the last notion was seeing history from more than just one lens, seeing history from both sides of both peoples, of whatever history we're studying. Thank you.
Okay, you have about 2 minutes, so you're doing fine.
No, there was this last one, this was a very important one at the bottom, that ethnic studies, particularly generating or facilitating better communication among and across difference, is a way to remove barriers and to dismantle systems of oppression.
My name is Armando, and I'm a high school student. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. I think my vision, from my point of view, is that my history has always been my favorite subject. Growing up since I was small, elementary school, and I love learning about history. But it's always, United States history or European history. I never really got to learn about my history and how am I important, how am I making a difference, so just if I was able to learn about me and my background and how that connects to the United States, and it just makes me feel like, wow, it's fun learning, and I'll feel better if I learned about me, and that goes for everyone from all different races, and I think we just be all better off like that, and we can just make better connections and understand everything better.
Thank you very much, Table 6. Okay, next up is Table 4. And as Table 4 is getting up, could we have the students that are here, could you stand, the students? And I know there's a lot of students here, so don't be bashful. Can we give them a real big applaud? And the Pima students are on spring break, and to be here on spring break is truly inspiring. You are the future of Tucson and Arizona and the United States. So we're all ready for you.
Working now? Okay. All right. My name is Ana Seiferle Valencia. I teach anthropology at the Northwest Campus. And table 4, we had a really interesting discussion. What I'm doing here is going to summarize basically a lot of our ideas overlap with what many of you have already presented. Basically, when we were identifying the vision for ethnic studies, our ideas grouped into 2 major thematic categories. And the first was regarding the purpose of ethnic studies, which we identified as being to improve cultural awareness. We also wanted to see ethnic studies be intersectional and have this to be an explicit part of the focus of our program. We also talked about the importance of integrating ethnic studies with approaches in social justice so that students have a way of actually applying what they learn to the world and in their daily lives. And we view ethnic studies in this capacity as a tool for generating inclusion. We originally had tolerance here and we crossed that out. Somebody pointed out when you're tolerating someone, that's not really the same as being inclusive. So we chose inclusion for that reason. And finally, we wanted to emphasize that ethnic studies is of benefit to all students, not just students who fit into so-called ethnic categories. And this was a point that was brought up by a student at our table, and I was very glad to hear that. I think if we can build on this approach, we can start to create an umbrella for support that's a lot more inclusive. Specifically with regard to courses and the structure of the program, we wanted to see that the curriculum was transparent, that it included community involvement in defining what we want to achieve with this program. We wanted to see the development of a common core of courses that freshmen and sophomores would take that would establish a foundation that would transfer to other universities without leaving these gaps in especially theoretical knowledge. We wanted to see alignment of courses between campuses and between our institutions and others. We wanted to see that counselors and administrators became more knowledgeable about the program and were able to facilitate these moves between different schools and different departments, both within Pima, but also between Pima and the various universities. And in particular, we talked a lot about defining how these classes are transferable and making sure that transfer process is consistent and transparent to students and administrators. Sorry, I dropped my half of the thing.
Half time.
Okay, we're done with this one. Our rationale for establishing the ATF was first and foremost to put students first. And in doing this, we want to see full funding. Adequate funding is not enough. We want full funding, and we want to be able to provide for our students in this way. We want to see faculty, administrators, and students advocating for the program. We also want to see a consistent schedule of meeting as a group and making progress on these common goals in an established way, not just kind of trying to cobble it together. We talked a lot about teaching resources and the ATF being able to provide guidance for instructors and students about what kind of formats we're talking about. Is it face-to-face? Is it online? Is it a mixed format? How do we make these courses available to as many people as possible? We also wanted to see a support system established for faculty and students who are participating in the ethnic studies program and the development of the program. Someone pointed out at our table that we need to make it clear that this kind of program adds value to a student's education, and we need to articulate what that value is in a way that makes sense to people outside of our immediate academic circles. And finally, we wanted to see the program be based in a stance of action, not reaction. And in doing this, we hope that the program will ultimately be more empowering for students and faculty. So I think that's everything we had on here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, table number 4. So now we have table number 2 coming up.
Okay, so we're group number 2, and we did a couple of things here that
First and foremost, it needs to be, we found our vision is that it's a student-centered priorities. So the students set the priorities for what our needs are. We borrowed a lot also from what Marlon was talking about earlier today about academia-based and streets-based, because that's going to be really important, is connecting the two. So we have an academia-based, getting it institutionalized, legitimized with a curricular pathway, incorporated into all aspects of academia, like we were talking about earlier, interdisciplinary, multiple disciplinary, and to create discipline certification in ethnic studies, having events, workshops, and active student groups in the academic side. When we go out to the streets and to the real world, I guess you can say, having the community included in the process of education, so we get community feedback, whether this is actually helping the community, getting practice and practical application in the community, which also adds as advertisement that this program is doing good for our community, and to foster awareness of differences. And for our rationale, we need to serve our students by creating transfer pathways. We need to providing a united front on ethnic studies. If we have a united front instead of a disjointed front, we can get better funding. We can have a better program supporting students in getting where they need to be. It'll help with sharing resources to boost educational attachment in Arizona by providing programs and courses of studying theory out of the state, benefiting the state's economy by bringing diversity to the workforce and to the global workforce. Interdisciplinary constructs provides critical thinking skills, way to reconnect us all back to our community, and frustration that this is frustrating for many of us, that it is because it is necessary, and it should be obvious that why ethnic studies is valuable, and not only to academia but to our community, and showing that we have that frustration to make it real.
Thank you very much, table number 2. Okay, now we are now going to go to the odd number tables, and we will go down from table number 9. So does table number 9, you want to come on up? The whole group is coming up. Now this is real unity.
Okay, so this is our team, Table 9. And because we're apparently very businesslike, we basically just summarize in 2 sentences what we thought was important. So, answering the first question on developing a mission statement, we thought of this. Ethnic Studies in Arizona seeks to embrace all students from all backgrounds to culturally inform from an interdisciplinary, historical, and contemporary context of the United States of America as a country. It aims at spreading knowledge, acknowledging differences, as well as promoting tolerance, equality, but most importantly, inclusion.
Wow. Wow.
Great team. Okay, now question 2, our justification. An ethnic studies articulation task force would create consistency between the statewide community colleges and universities in Arizona. in developing a common curriculum for students to easily transfer courses to fulfill degree requirements. This will save students time, money, and increase graduation rates. That's it.
Thank you very much. Table number 9. Thank you. And the majority of that group were students. So now we are ready for table number 7. If table number 7 could come up. I think we need our little easel cardboard back. Oh, there it is. Here it is.
We lost our scribe.
Take this up, it'll pinch it in. Whoops.
Okay, question number 1, the mission statement. The ethics studies in Arizona will provide a safe place or environment to develop, a safe place or environment of inclusivity while developing critical thinking that will result in better appreciation of all people by focusing on history, art, culture, politics, and legal factors with a first-person perspective and a connection to our community. We firmly believe that this will lead to a greater student success and a stronger citizenry. Justification. Support and encourage students, faculty, and community to develop a stronger citizenry. Establish a foundation and clear pathway for higher degrees, careers, and community empowerment for minority and diverse groups / communities. To diminish and ultimately destroy stereotypes, expand worldview, combat bigotry, discrimination, and something. We want to encourage success for everyone and wanted to bring up the point that it's data-driven. Data shows that students involved in ethics studies from a high school, community college, and university level maintain better grades, continue on to higher education, and better careers.
Thank you very much, table number 7. So now we have table number 5 coming up.
Okay, so we'll start with our mission first. We came up with 5 different statements. We were trying to narrow it down to 1 to keep it simple, but given the list that we've seen, 5 is actually not that bad. So the first one, harmonize the diverse ethnic knowledge through comprehensiveness, collaboration, and teaching. Sorry, it's a little bit hard for me to see. I don't see too well. Actually, I'll let you read because it's hard for me to read it.
To continually improve interpersonal relationships and self-identification through global cultural knowledge, empowering students for social change by promoting leadership and empowerment and having students learn their cultural history for the purposes of dismantling oppressive power structures, empower students to explore and value difference, to eradicate racial discrimination and promote social harmony and peace among students. And our rationale and justification is a strong democracy requires diverse representation. Therefore, the ATF should represent community ethnically. Promotion of knowledge, history, and understanding that institutionalizes diversity as an important instrument of democracy, and to ensure that all students learn to value and understand diversity as part of their general education. Ethnic studies encourages critical thinking, student engagement, and enhances a unifying worldview and appreciation of diversity and promotion of justice, and because it is necessary for peace.
Thank you very much, table number 5. Now, table number 3, could you please come up?
Hey guys, my name is Blake and I'm a student of anthropology here at the downtown campus and at Pima West. I'm from table 3. Is this our first one? Yeah, okay. So for our mission statement, what we did was we came up with a whole bunch of words that we felt like should be included in the mission statement, and we only used a handful of them. The first thing that we came up with was striving for a new perspective that will educate one on diversity and humanity. And I think the one that we ended up agreeing on was that the mission statement was to educate and foster collaboration and appreciation of human diversity to positively impact the self-confidence and critical awareness of all students. The rationale for ATF, we kind of got railroaded off to a couple of other different conversations, but some of the most important things that we decided on for why we should have this task force is time, money, opportunities, and validation. I think that was more in relation to Mrs. Pacheco's experience, and we want to avoid adverse impacts on non-traditional first-generation students. And we also felt that it provides a sense of certainty for success, builds community and confidence for the future, as well as build and improve faculty collaboration and bring funding and status to ethnic studies department and faculty members. And that's all we got.
Thank you very much, table number 3. And finally, table number 1, if you could come up.
So many of the words that the different groups used, we incorporated also and took a similar approach to Table 3 in terms of identifying words we wanted to have represented. What we ended up with in terms of a mission statement, and by the way, my name is Lisa Nutt and I'm the International Office here at West Campus.
Gabriel.
So we ended up with ethnic studies in Arizona
We couldn't decide if it acknowledges or recognizes the vast diversity of social and historical contexts of its communities. These academic programs retain and ensure the success of P through 20 students by engaging them in critical thought and discourse as a way toward healing and social justice. These pathways democratize access to education.
All right, so for Rationale, really off the record, we were like, we have to rationalize and justify this ATF. This is kind of ridiculous. So we had to calm down and be like, okay, so we gotta like use some nice productive words here. So our rationale is educators have a right to cement the idea, the need for ethnic studies. You can't ignore diversity in Arizona, the language, culture, the people. Ethnic studies cultivates empathy, understanding, and respect. It allows the state to reflect on difference as a strength. And it acknowledges a lack of representation in curriculum and decision making. ¿Qué más? Making transfer of credits easier for students. People have the right to know their own history and culture and language. Ethnic studies must be responsive and reflective of the diverse demographics of the state. And research proves that ethnic studies works.
Thank you very much. Table number 1. Thank you. Could we give another round of applause for everyone that presented? Thank you. We thank everyone for sharing your thoughts with us. And now I would like to invite the members of the Planning Committee forward. And if there's any members of the panelists still here, which I see 1 or 2, if you would please come forward. And we're going to have a question and answer period. If anyone has any questions about today's activities, the ATF application process, or any other questions that you may have.
So do we have everybody that is on the organizing committee to please come up? Diana, who else is here still from the organizing committee? Sophie, Margie, and from the panelists, Dr. Kilsback, would you please come up with us and join us? Marlon, please, my dear friend. Donna. Why is everybody being so shy? Who else? Do I have to call you out? Come on now. Gabrielle. Is there anyone else?
And we're going to bring a mic around. Andrew, could you? Or yes, we'll float some of the mics around. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? Sure, we'll get.
Oh.
Okay.
Buenas tardes. We were wondering if this information from the roundtables will be made available for us all to share, like either on a Google's Plus network. Because sometimes all these wonderful ideas sometimes get lost in the energy, or if we see other people who we want to share this information with, it would be really great to have it transcribed. So that was one of our questions, and it's just been really inspiring to hear everybody's ideas, so thank you.
So I'll address that really quickly and turn it over to Sophie, because as so many of you have mentioned, you know, we have lack of resources and we work with very little, and from day to day are planning things. So we were, as this forum was going on, we were then thinking, okay, what's the next step? We know we need to do something with the input
we have to collate it, and we have talked about this before, of course, because of the application, but we didn't have like a specific person assigned, and we had another of many blessings that have made all this possible happen, and I'll turn it over to Sophie for you to meet this other blessing.
Good afternoon. I'm Sophie Alves, and I am currently a PhD student and also the assistant to the head of the Mexican American Studies Department at the U of A. Woo. And thank you. And with actually my advisor and my boss sitting at the back of the room, Dr. Anna O'Leary. And so I got involved in this project, and I volunteered to help as much as I can. And in terms of the workshop, I'm actually going to transcribe everything that we've been saying so far and make a PDF document, and hopefully it should be done by the end of March. But since I'm a student, you know, sometimes things happen. So, but it should be done by the end of March, and I will send it to Rosalia or Francisca, and it should be sent through, I don't know how, but it should be made available. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. Yes, based on the information and the question that was asked, what can we do right now to go to the board or go to the chancellor to get us emergency money to continue to do this? Because I know it'll take money. So, any suggestions? We need to go to the chancellor, we need to go to the board, we need to get some money. Anybody knows how much we need? Can you guys give us a ballpark figure or something that we can go and lobby for you guys?
I would personally say that any money is like more than welcome. Now I don't think we actually have an estimate right now because we're still working on, you know, putting this together and actually trying to make this happen and this become true. So I don't think we actually have like a number. She has an estimation.
No, I don't have a budget, but I do have Francisca over there in the back who could probably come up, you know, with the estimate or a budget for it. However, we had been thinking about, you know, talking with our provost and with our president and with our chancellor so that he may want to provide, you know, the money and resources so that we can come up with a booklet that will be very much historical and that will also be available for the community. And nothing has been promised. I'm talking, you know, out of, you know, expectations that I have, that we may be able, you know, to work together in the college and outside of the college. But as I told you, Francisca is a money person, so I'm gonna handle this.
I can't say I have an answer for it. I understand the question to be how much money do we need to publish the proceedings. We have, as you've seen, this is the college's expert video team here. We have the top notch of our institution here. They've been taking video, and my understanding is, and maybe someone can correct me from the team, my understanding is that they have taped in order to stream this online, and that, I'm not sure when that will be available, but again, my understanding is it should be fairly soon, so we're going to be working to do that, and that will also have footage for the college to be able to use for creating presentations and so forth. Someone else asked me during the proceedings, will this footage be available to others? I don't know. I don't know what the college's policy is on that, but we can certainly, and others are certainly welcome to inquire about that with the marketing office at district. As far as publishing the proceedings, you know, I think it would be a matter of a committee coming together and deciding how we want to get the proceedings distributed. As you all heard, Sophie is going to be transcribing, And pretty much, as I understand, the committee that you see in front of you is going to be working on synthesizing the input for the application. And literally, it's going to be a synthesis of 1 to 2 paragraphs. And if you're interested in being a part of that, please let one of the committee members know. We want to continue having inclusion of community, of faculty, staff, students, administration. One of the main reasons we did this event today is to expand the pie, right? And to get more people involved, and for you to take these conversations back to your institutions, but also for us to link with each other and help each other in doing that. So if we need a budget to do those things, we'd have to do that as a committee or as a group of people and decide how do we want to get it distributed, how much money do we need to do that, and how are we going to fundraise. So those questions have not been answered. That's the next step, and you are welcome to join us in doing that. We do need help.
Okay, other questions for the group?
Hi. So my question is, I saw a lot of the, on when the tables came together to present after the proceedings, that there's a lot of emphasis on K through 12 or P through 20, or yeah, on the emphasis on the elementary education as well as high school and higher education. So I was wondering if in future, if we would see any of those representatives or anybody that has weigh in those areas here also, or how to get these this meeting to them as well.
So my understanding of the question is how to get more input and connection with the K through 12 and expand. Do you want to talk about your, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Bueno. My name is Bardo Padilla. I teach Spanish and Translation and Interpretation Studies at Downtown Campus. And actually, this is a very, a great question, and it encompasses everything that we're trying to do. So at the beginning of the year, we applied to present at a conference for community service learning and the connection with language and heritage. So we wrote a proposal. We got all the support from the administration and from Rationale School. And we actually created this program that is called Éxito en dos idiomas, so success in 2 languages. And we're already going to Rationale, talking to the students at the Spanish class, the advanced classes, and we're introducing them to the pathway of getting to college, and not just getting to college, but also being able to pay for it out of their own pockets. How are we going to do this is by creating pathways for the students to make the smooth transition towards, from the community college towards the University of Arizona, for example, or any of the 3 universities, but also through the Mexican-American department, we created a pathway. So it's a smooth transition. We start with them at the K through 12 level, 8th grade, 9th grade, giving them information, talking about translation and interpretation studies, so that by the time they finish at PIMA, they already have a direct employment certificate that pays about $30 to $50 an hour. So hopefully they can pay for their own education, or make up with grants and scholarships. But now control over what they want to do, and they also get role models, because we will bring them to, hopefully in the future, to PIMA, and then they can be witnesses and they can learn what it is to be in a college class while they're in 8th grade or 7th grade. So they know what to do, and they know how to do it, and they have the tools to be able to successfully complete a career, a degree, an interdisciplinary degree, anything that they want to do. But we start with them at the 8th grade level. So hopefully we will extend this to other schools for recruitment, for orientation, and for retention of our students in the population.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it's, it's a whole thing, but it's happening little by little in different pieces. And some of them are happening at the same time.
Could I add a couple of things? Again, I'm Gabriel Higuera. I direct a program called CRIA, Collaborative Research in Action. I too am a PhD student in Mexican American Studies at the U of A. So I want to talk about my program, and just, if you don't know, just to introduce you to a special person in the audience right now. But first, about this program, CRIA, we pair university and community college students to teach and lead social justice and ethnic studies workshops with middle school and high school students. So this program right now is in 6 schools, working with 3 high schools and 3 middle schools in the Sunnyside and the Tucson Unified School District. These students, we're working with approximately 230 middle school and high school students are right now engaged in ethnic studies and social justice research. They're going to present this research April 30th at the U of A. And with the leadership here at PIMA with Rosalia and Francisca, President Doré, and Chancellor Lambert, they are backing this program. They're supporting this program. We also have a small grant from the Confluence Center at the U of A. But we are moving forward, just because we have to also recognize that there was a law that's still on the books that dismantled a very effective and productive and well-loved community program that delivered results. So we can't lose sight of that law because it should not be on the books. So that's on the long term, at least in my book, that's one of the long-term goals that we should all have, is making sure that that law that banned the teaching and learning of particular histories and cultures, until that law is off the books, we should not rest. But the other person, there are some other people in the audience. This is full of, this is our people, this is our team. Lorenzo Lopez is the director of culturally relevant curriculum at TUSD. So, what we're doing is we're just providing the services. We continue doing the work, and right now it's the time for creativity and energy because we are running against opposition at the state level. So it's time to put on your creative hats.
So along that line about the pipeline, Mexican American Studies also has a summer dual enrollment program called Jumpstart. This is a program that was started, I think, 1 year or 2 years ago, in which for 10 weeks students from high schools, local high schools, can take a course in social justice that is first year of a university course. They take it along with other freshmen for the summer. We have been able to get a funder to help pay the tuition costs of taking a university course, which is this is another issue, in terms of that pipeline. And we have had slots for 10 students, and if we continue with that funding, we get these young kids, seniors at high schools, exposed to a university class taught by a university professor, or in the case of Gabriel, which I think will be teaching that course, and have them exposed to what a coursework is. So we do have pieces, as somebody said, of some of these programs where the pipeline is essentially streamlined to get high school students into the university through the help of Pima College as this bridge support for some of those students.
Yes, another question in the back.
Okay. Maria Federico Bromer, and this is Margaret Cheney, and we are also from Culturally Relevant Pedagogy and Instruction in Tucson Unified. Margaret actually teaches an ethnic studies class. We have courses at some level and curriculum running in terms of ethnic studies K-12 now in some aspects. Predominantly we're in 5th grade classrooms, and majority of our middle school classrooms and all of our high schools now have either a history or an English language arts class going. So ethnic studies is alive and well in Tucson Unified, and we're hoping to continue that pipeline, especially with dual enrollment. We're hoping to develop that collaboration at every single one of our high schools.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
Hello, and thank you all for organizing this. My name is Maureen Salzer. I'm a faculty member at West Campus at Pima in writing, literature, and I'm chair of the humanities department. And I just want to say thank you, Downtown Campus, for making this great brochure of the courses. That's fabulous. And what I want to do is see how you did that and how we can do that at West. You know, we were facing these enrollment problems here, and at West Campus we have a great literature course, Southwestern literature. We have humanities courses that are ethnic studies focused, and they often get canceled because of low enrollment. So what I'd like to say is, how can we get the administration to support these courses so that they're available for students to take? I know you have great enrollment here at downtown, and so maybe we can get some lessons for you of how to develop the ethnic studies courses that we have and add them to a list, distribute it, market it, do something so we can get more students in these very valuable courses. Thank you.
I think they're handing me the microphone. So I believe that the administration must be behind these courses for the courses to expand. However, I put a challenge out to the members of the community that are here to promote ethnic studies courses in Tucson and in southern Arizona. There is no reason why we should not have a robust ethnic studies program at all of our campuses. And so I really want us to, and I applaud the chancellor, I believe the chancellor is sincere that ethnic studies, we have an opportunity now. And I believe that this forum is really just a stepping stone to grow the kinds of ethnic studies programs that I have seen. I see robust ethnic studies programs in San Francisco where you have entire departments. And you know, you're talking about faculty that are hired specifically at positions in Mexican American studies, in African American studies, and so forth. And I have seen flourishing enrollments. Part of that is this articulation is absolutely key to that, to ensure that the ethnic studies are core to our general education program. So yes, there's a lot that we can do, and I think there's a lot that we can learn from others that have flourishing ethnic studies programs. But I'll turn it over to the faculty who might want to.
So let me just say this, that I became head of our department about a year ago. And one of the first missions I had for myself was to see where our enrollments were. I saw, first of all, that our enrollments were down. So I think that's a generalized concern. A lot of it might have to do with the recession. A lot maybe had to do with the ethics studies, debate and the outcome of SB 2281. I think it scared parents. I think it might have scared some students. And that's a reality that we have to live with. But what I did, I appointed myself a new title. I'm the Nagger-in-Chief now, which means that I have gone to administrative offices at the university. I've asked for meetings. I've asked for people in marketing. I asked for people in advising. I've been talking to advisors. Really, that was my job description that I gave myself. And I think a lot of it is incumbent on us not to accept passively the decline in enrollment, that we're all feeling the pinch. I think we have to be aggressive in seeing our administrators, asking marketing people, who's going out to those colleges, who's recruiting, where are they going, when are they going, when can I come? And I think those have been some of the questions that I've had to ask our administrators, and I see Randy, our advisor, there kind of laughing because he knows, he's seen me ask people, go to people, knocking on doors at our end. So I think those of us here who have this strong commitment for ethnic studies, I think we just, it's a slow grind as we kind of start to crank up the student enrollment machine. And I think it's incumbent, once we have oogles and oogles of ethnic studies students clamoring for more classes, clamoring for students, clamoring for more teachers, then they will say, okay, we will hire another ethnic studies professor. Okay, we will provide this for these students. Because you know what rules is the money. And they don't listen to anything. They don't listen to anything except the money. And those are tuition-paying students, and they're not going to say no to tuition-paying students, but we need to drive them into our classrooms, drive them in, get them, pull them out of classrooms from high schools, show them what great we are, push them into our universities, get them graduated, get them out there employed. That's the only thing that administrators, except not all administrators, not you, most administrators, that's all they listen to, is that the bottom line. So, but then we do it for other reasons. We do it because we care about our students, and we care that they get educated, and we care because we're going to get that political power where we won't have to have this conversation in 10 years from now, because everybody will be into universities and out and working and making this world a better place for us.
And just excellent, yes. Just one more comment on that. What we're doing at the downtown campus is we have a year-long plan, and until you build programs, it's essential to guarantee those courses. And that, because a student is not going to sign up for a course if 3 days before the course starts, it's going to be canceled. So we have a plan at the downtown campus to guarantee the growth of that program so that students will know that they can plan they know what ethnic studies course we will have in the fall and the spring, and we're going to guarantee those courses.
My name is Rachel Running, and I'm a freelance photographer who's been working on the borderlands of New Mexico, or Mexico, and originally from Flagstaff, Arizona. This last fall, I did a show in Nogales, Arizona, and I'd like to just put it on your radar, but this year we are planning, I think, the first ever Borderlands Book Festival through the Cochise Community College, because the teachers there know that their students need ethnic studies. And I'd like to just put that on your radar for you to keep your eyes open and to invite each and one of you to come and participate this fall. We've invited our poet laureate, Juan Felipe Herrera, and one of our dear friends and borderland writers, Denise Chavez, and her husband, Danielle Zelinsky. And again, these are people who have shaped my understanding of the borderlands and how important it is, and that these students need us. So I just wanted to invite you, and to please, as we formulate, to look for us on Facebook, and also maybe we can have a Facebook group, because so many people in Mexico also have Facebook accounts, and it's a wonderful platform. So until we have funding, it's another great way for us all to stay in communications. So again, it's just really an honor to hear all these wonderful ideas, and I know the students need us. So thank you again for hosting this event.
Thank you very much. And on that note, could you please give a round of applause to our organizing committee and our panelists? Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So we're all done now with our questions and answers. You can get up now. Thank you very much, everyone. Next, we'd like to welcome Dr. Ravi Perry. Holding a PhD from Brown University, Dr. Perry is Associate Professor of Political Science at Virginia Commonwealth University. He is the author and editor of several books, including 21st Century Urban Race Politics, Representing Minorities as Universal Interests, Black Mayors, White Majorities, The Balancing Act of Racial Politics, and The Little Rock Crisis, What Desegregation Politics Says About Us. Currently, Dr. Perry is writing a book that introduces the lives and campaigns of Black and openly lesbian and gay elected officials in the United States. He is also a lifelong advocate for and with the LGBTQIA, a globally oppressed and marginalized, and HIV and AIDS communities everywhere. Please welcome President of the National Association for Ethnic Studies, Dr. Ravi Perry.
How y'all doing? Good, good. I won't keep you long. I am honored to be here to represent the National Association for Ethnic Studies. We are proud co-sponsors along with all of the wonderful staff, administration, and faculty here at PIMA with our 44th annual conference, which is ongoing, which you are, if you knew it or not, are a part of. And we are very, very genuinely excited. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're excited. The organization, the National Association for Ethnic Studies, was founded in 1972. It's the oldest ethnic studies organization in the world. We've been around first starting as a small group of Midwestern scholars who wanted to study the interdisciplinary relationships between people with various ethnic identities, significances. And we merged as the National Association for Ethnic Studies in 1985, and we've been carrying the message forward ever since then. I'd encourage you a few things to go to our website, ethnicstudies.org, sign up, become a member, join our listserv, like us on Facebook, like us on, tweet with us on Twitter. One of the things that you get from that, other than just being a cool member of our association, is you get a whole bunch of really cool news updates on ethnic studies. I just was presenting at our a luncheon, for example, a few moments ago, and I was talking there about, just in the last 2 weeks, how there's so many things happening in ethnic studies around the world, particularly in the United States. As many of you have already indicated, just listening to your voices the last few moments, from the streets and protests of various kinds and various communities, to borders, to the events and issues happening on college campuses, and of course, to the burgeoning largest movement right now in ethnic studies that's actually occurring in our K through 12 educational system. And so you get to will receive, by joining with us, a whole host of updates on that activity. I definitely would propose that the institution joins us. We offer institutional memberships, and that also helps administrators, we believe, in particular, understand the value of ethnic studies as more than just an organization or a hashtag or a statement, but a genuine belief in the value and upliftment of ethnic communities worldwide, particularly here in the United States where we are based, and our, of course, border partners across the North American continent. What's really exciting about this year's theme is our theme is resistance. We're having a keynote speaker starting this evening at 6 o'clock. We invite all of you to come. You're welcome to join us. It will be hosted on the campus of the University of Arizona in the Student Union in the South Ballroom at 6 o'clock. It includes a reception. And you'll hear our keynote speaker, Che Gossett. And Che is coming all the way from New York City as a black gender queer activist, and it will be helping us merge the intersections of ethnic studies as both an academic discipline, but also reality in the lives of many of us who fight for ethnic communities in the streets. And so it's going to be a really exciting time at 6 o'clock. Please come join us. You won't have to pay a thing, and you're welcome to just come say hello. Last thing I will say is that this type of a collaboration between Pima Community College and the University of Arizona is exactly the types of collaborative opportunities that need to continue. You heard wonderfully from the chair of the Department of Mexican American Studies at U of A, who has been working very hard since she took the reins there to continue the mission, moving it forward. And these are the types of engagements that allow that to actually happen. One of the challenges in ethnic studies is that if we create forums and ideas like this, and these ideas stay inside this room, then we really have done nothing other than talk amongst ourselves, which is wonderful in many ways, right? We get to know each other, we get to collaborate and build new relationships on a real interpersonal basis. But ethnic studies is not going to survive and not going to thrive by having those conversations stay in this room. One thing that we know across college campuses, for example, is that when ethnic studies becomes, and in K through 12 education, becomes threatened by many of the laws that have occurred here in the state of Arizona and across the country, from Kansas to Rhode Island to Massachusetts to Texas to Virginia to California, all issues that have been threatening ethnic studies in the last 2 weeks alone. We understand immediately that not only is this a perilous time for us to really make these wonderful ideas you all just spoke about become more pronounced, but also we have a real responsibility to ensure that those ideas become reality. And one thing that I like to at least suggest is that conversations and dialogue is where it starts, but it does not end there. What we tend to do is have wonderful dialogue and conversation, and then because of our various lives we lead and the careers we may or may not have and the classes we have to take and so on and so forth, we then take those ideas and energies and we invest them in our own work, and that's a wonderful way to really advance ethnic studies. But I will suggest that doing that alone will not ensure that ethnic studies continues to thrive. Who are the people that actually defend ethnic studies when it's threatened? It's the community. It's always the community. It's always people that often are not connected to community colleges or other colleges and universities. It's often people living in the streets who are impacted by ethnic studies, who may not have even taken an ethnic studies class, might not even have a degree in ethnic studies, but they understand that because they identify as a member of ethnic communities, that if they don't stand up and fight for ethnic studies, then ethnic studies will in fact fall. And so we have a responsibility, I think a moral one, frankly, to ensure that not only are the education systems in which ethnic studies is taught protected, not only can we ensure that by, like many of you have said, increasing enrollments, many students in the room, bringing your fellow students, your classmates, along to take the classes with you. Not just becoming excited, right, about it ourselves, but really sharing the message. I tell my students all the time, if you can tweet and you can Facebook and you can Oodle and you can Snapchat, then you can do all of that for ethnic studies as well. And if you don't do that, then what we cannot do is then somehow complain when another program is cut, or complain when another professor does not get tenure, or complain when another opportunity is missed to really help educate not only ourselves as members of educated communities, but the entire public. One thing that's great about college, and I'll leave you with this, is that most people don't know this, but only 7% of Americans actually have attended college. That includes community colleges. That means that 93%, if you understand what college does for the average person, 93% of Americans don't have that collegiate experience. Doesn't mean that they're not smart, wonderful, talented, amazing people. We all know people that have never gone to college who are smarter than most of us. So that's not what I'm getting at. But what I'm getting at, right, is that college provides a space for us to think critically, to share ideas, and to actually make those ideas become reality. And it's always been, for the most part, that the relationship between that 7% that's gone to college and the 93% that hasn't, that really makes this stuff a reality. I, for one, am very proud to partner with this forum, and I'm hopeful that the forum does not stop here. I'm very much supportive of the articulation task force that is being highly and strongly recommended to be created. But that in and of itself also is not going to be where the battle stops, right? This is really a lifelong commitment. And so I'd encourage you to join us on this movement. Join us by joining the association. Join us by liking us on Facebook. But join us mostly with your commitment to ethnic studies. Beyond your own individual career or your own individual matriculation through college, but really as a way of life. And if we do that, then we can be sure that we aren't having these same conversations in 10, 20 years about where ethnic studies can go. And the conversation in 10, 20 years is instead going to be how much further can we continue to thrive. That's a different conversation. And that's the conversation I'm eagerly waiting for. Thank you very much. I hope to see you at 6 o'clock at U of A.
Thank you, Dr. Perry, for those inspiring words. If you could just wait for one moment, we have a little something to give you. I would like to present you a certificate for all the work that you and the National Association for Ethnic Studies Executive Board and the Site Committee have done to help Pima Community College be part of this national conference. It's truly been an honor to host the day's activities, so thank you very much. Here's a
Oh, thank you. Oh,
you could just get a picture.
Oh, yes, I love photos.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Perry. Again, thank you everyone for your participation and input in this afternoon's workshop. All of your work today will be compiled and used to support the ATF application process. And on a personal note, I am so honored that the downtown campus has been able to host this event. I believe that this is a moment in time for us to move profoundly forward. And so now, before we have our closing ceremonies, we have one more guest that I would like to call to the stage. And so I would like to welcome Professor Bardo Padilla, who is a downtown campus faculty member, to the stage.
Gracias. Buenas tardes. How's everyone doing? Are you tired? No? Well, now we're energized. Now we're on a movement here, doing something very, very historic. So this is, we're very close to the end of our event today. And I just want to mention that we have, we want to thank the people that have made this possible. Staff, administrators, faculty, students, and you that came and supported and helped and enjoyed everything that we had done today. We want to present a special gift to some of the people that have been an essential part of this event. We don't necessarily have it ready, they will get it, but let me show you what it is. This is the that these people are going to be getting. So let me show you what the final product will look like. We just need the frames. So we got them signed today by all the panelists for this historic moment. So we're going to frame them. So ultimately, it's going to look like this. So that's why we don't have it ready. But we would like to bring up to the stage Jessica Pacheco. ¿Dónde estás, Jessica? Is she here? Our student? No? Oh, Jessica. Ahí viene, she's coming. Ven, ven. So please, a round of applause for Jessica. And well, basically, you will be getting one of these posters with everybody's signature, the panelists. Yeah, gracias. And also, our main supporter at the downtown campus, Dr. David Dore, por favor. So these people are very, very essential to what we're doing, the support, the generosity, the time, everything. So thank you. We thank you very, very much. So you will be getting one of these posters, both of you. Gracias.
Mine is going
on my office.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, gracias. And also, Dr. Our PCC Governing Board, Mark Hanna, will get one of those too. And as well, Dolores Duran Cerda, our provost, and our chancellor, Dr. Lee Lambert, will also get one of these posters. And in the future, hopefully, maybe we can have like an ethnic studies center, research and support center, where we will hang one of these too. And then everybody's welcome to these, to come and see them. Okay, gracias. Yeah. So yeah, we will be presenting them a framed and signed event poster to commemorate this historic event, which could not have happened without your support and everybody else's. We're also presenting this to the Chancellor and to Dolores Duran Cerda. We'll get them to them. And the next award is for someone very, very special, someone who also has made this possible and is a dream made reality. She's an activist, a community and student leader, colleague, very, very supportive colleague, an inspiration, a motivation, a fighter. And she's truly, truly, truly a veterana in all the sense of the word. So the next award, can you hand me that, please? Okay. Yeah. So the next award is for, is the Saguaro Award? The next award is for Rosalía Solórzano. For a lifetime of love and service to students, community, and education, March 18, 2016.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I'm honored. And, you know, each of you represents one of the little parts of this saguaro and iconography for our state, you know, for survival, right? And the longevity that it has, but also, you know, it represents in some ways, you know, our never stopping and continuing, que sí se puede, okay? And just continue with a dream until you fulfill it, because our dream is for our students, you know, to prosper, for our students, you know, to enter into the pipelines, and for our students to graduate and better their lives, you know, their children's lives, and, you know, our people, our communities. So thank you so very much for the love.
And a special thank you to staff, faculty, student volunteers, the organizing committee, and sponsors of today's event. And I would also like to remind you that we're going to have DVD and book signing taking place on the outside patio after our closing ceremony, so out here. And I also got to remind you that everyone who RSVP'd gets a certificate of attendance, so please pick those up before you leave. And those of you who came in and signed in, they can make you one as well right there in the front, out where you registered, okay? So don't forget your certificate of attendance. This is historic. You can frame it, put it on your fridge, show it to your parents. So I would like also to introduce now Mr. Miguel Flores, Jr. ¿Está aquí, Mr. Miguel Flores, Jr.? Sí, muchas gracias. And Mr. Flores is a proud member of the Pascuayaqui tribe and Tohono O'odham Nation. Husband, father, artist, healer, counselor, guide, and teacher. For the past 25 years, he has provided spiritual leadership and traditional medicine for Tohono O'odham Nation and Pascuayaqui tribe. Mr. Flores has a 26-year career in behavioral health and is the CEO and owner of Holistic Wellness Counseling and Consultant Services. Mr. Flores, thank you very, very much for being here today. And we have a certificate for you as well, but we'll give it to you after. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. For yours. Todo suyo. Gracias. Los Mchanievo, Coxiera. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Miguel Flores again. I'm a member of the Pasco Yaqui tribe in Tonatom Nation. My parents are Miguel D. Flores, Rosalía Mendoza Flores. My maternal grandparents are Juan Mendoza and Emilia Mendoza. My paternal grandparents are Emilia Flores, Defina Flores, and Felix Flores. These are my relations. This is who, these are my relations of who I'm related to. Traditionally, this is who when I introduce myself, this is who I am. For that you may know, if I have relations out there, that we are relatives, that we are connected in that way. Again, give me a second to kind of set things up before I do this last and closing blessing. But again, reflecting on, throughout the day, well, actually throughout the week, it's been a busy week with the 4 conferences going on and all the places I've been to, hearing similar messages regarding culture, regarding the importance of understanding our cultures, our values, our spirituality. And I think one of the important things is that as humans, we need to understand where we come from. We have to understand who we are in order to move forward. And one of the things that I teach a lot of my clients, a lot of the young people that I work with, is that yes, our people might have been through many things, many trials, but we are still here. We are resilient. We still hold up our culture, our values, our teachings. And it's up to us to be able to pass those on to the next generations that come. Again, as our children are born, they're born pure and innocent. From the time that they are born, everything is learned behavior. And so again, it's one of those things where what do we teach? What do we encourage? What do we pass on? And I think one of the things that, again, we need to be able to pass on is the side that we don't talk about. What has happened to our people? What have we been through? What traumas have we seen? Because again, as we talk about ethnic studies, I work in the world of behavioral health. And with ethnic studies, I think, traditionally, as a Native person, we think holistically. Body, mind, and spirit. Everything affects everything else in this world in nature. You can't affect one part of your life without affecting the other parts of your life. So as we talk about ethnic studies, what has history shown us about healthcare to our people, our education system, where we live, what monies are given to us? Everything affects everything. This has to be taught to our children, because this is our history. In order for us to have change or make those changes at a school level, city level, federal level, we must understand our past. Because if we don't understand our past and the struggles that we have gone through, history has a tendency of repeating itself. And again, with a lot of the people that I spoke with on Sunday at the National Linguistics conference that they had, talked to people from all over the world about border issues. And again, they have the same struggles as we had as people, same experiences. The language may be different, the culture may be different, the medicines they use may be different, but the foundation is the same. Humanity. We are all humans. We all bleed, we all cry, we all have emotions, we all have feelings. As we talk about ethnic studies, these are the things that we must pass on to our children. This is the connection that we have, and being able to provide from our small children to our students that are at middle school, high school, and be able to develop that pipeline to go to college, to go into these different areas of, again, providing, giving back to the community, giving back to the people. One of the things that I sit on a couple of boards at the university, and some of the curriculums that we're trying to develop is, again, has to do with ethnic studies. How to create diversity in teaching medical students, how to work with Native people or Latino communities. You know, how do they provide better patient care? Because these are the people that they're going to work with. How do they provide better education to minority groups? Again, these are the questions that have to be asked. Because again, you know, that isn't taught in college. We aren't taught empathy. We aren't taught compassion. Again, I think we live in a society, in a world where we do this, and everyone has one of these phones or iPads or whatever, and this is how we communicate. And I think we got to realize that technology is great, but you cannot see an emotion or a feeling through email or text. You ask our grandparents or great-parents, how was it how you were growing up? Whole different lifestyle. They had compassion. People talked. People listened. People had empathy. Again, these are some of those old values that are passed on from generation to generation. But again, we cannot forget those values. We cannot forget that structure. Again, to be able to pass it on to our kids, to our students. Because everything that we do in this life is about building relationships. It's about having compassion for our neighbor, to having that understanding. We may not be the same group, but I can't say I walked in your shoes, but I can feel your pain. I have had some similar struggles, but together we can work together to move forward. And I think this is what this group has done today. Throughout the week, what I've heard in many different groups, that we move forward with the same message. One voice, one goal, one direction. And again, as I close this group, I'm honored to be here today to be able to close this day with a blessing. So if I please have everybody stand up. We're going to make it rain in here. No, just kidding. Grandfather, get the machata. Come on is take a smoke, grandfather. I thank you for your day life with this Spanish, grandfather. Thank you for the morning star, grandfather. Thank you for the fire much on the side of hearts, grandfather. Thank you for the new knowledge learned throughout the day, grandfather. Grandfather, get the machata. Come on is take a smoke, grandfather. Thank you for the warm rains to bring away, grandfather. The rains to bring life. your sacred smoke, and Father, thank you for the Father, get the machahata. Come to some man on your sacred smoke, and Father, I thank you for the elements of the motion. Thank you for the cold winds which are being waved, and Father, thank you for the white smoke. Thank you for the endurance which you have to keep us, and Father. Ask you to help us spiritually. Away any impurities, any type of stuff. Father, they ask you to bless the top of our heads, strong minds, good, strong hearts. Father, as prayers from our relatives here today, God, Father. That they be strong, that they be healthy, God, Father. Better today, God, Father. Our people out there, God, Father.
Thank you, everyone, again for coming. But I want to let everyone know that we have a book signing from our panelists out on the balcony, right out on the patio, right outside this door. So if anyone would like to purchase or and get your book signed, please go out on the patio. Thank you again, everyone, for coming.